Hi everyone, Nick here. Today we're looking at the 11th weekly event on F1 2019. Now, as there's no real life Formula 1 race this weekend, Codemasters have had to put their thinking caps on and think up a unique weekly event for us to do here, and they've picked Canada, which is a good choice. It's a track I really like. It's not a track I'm any good at, but it's one that I like nonetheless. And in this case, we're actually going to be doing a featured event. So it's kind of like the Esports ones where you're given a scenario and have to do some stuff to get some points rather than the usual just an actual race against people online. So we're going to put the AI driver level at 93 and see how it goes. So what race have we got? Well, the objective is to finish in third position or higher. You're entering the closing stages of Canadian Grand Prix as Max Verstappen. He's in 8th, but he's got some strong pace though, apparently, and conditions are going to improve. That's because it's been raining and we're going to be starting on intermediates. Now, this makes it very tricky for me because I normally struggle in Canada anyway out of some of the corners under traction. So making it wet made it quite tricky for me in a lot of places. There was this excellent moment though where I forgot that I had pit assist switched off and absolutely destroyed Stroll so hard that he disappeared. Not too bad. Yeah, Lance Stroll was out of the session. He's out of existence, mate. But generally I was really struggling to get a good run going here, unfortunately. I think one of the things that hurt me a bit was with these featured events, normally you can just restart and have another go, but if you restart, the track conditions at the start of the session are just so completely different to the ones at the end of the session that you just really struggled to get any rhythm going, and as a result I just kept on losing it under traction, just trying to be cheeky. But in the end I was able to successfully complete the scenario, spoilers, and this is my best run. So the first objective is to get past Kvyat, who is a couple of cars ahead of you. He's been lapped, but you just kind of have to get him out of the way. If you're really ambitious, you can get him just before the chicane. I think I'm going to get him round the outside of the turn in, so we're going to go round the outside. He's going to kind of park it on the apex because that's what lapped cars do on F1 2019. They look at the track and think, how can I best get in the way? So thanks for that, Codemasters and Kvyat. But he's done now, so that's good. Attention now turns to the cars in front. I basically want to get past Stroll and Sainz as quickly as possible. If I want to have any chance of actually succeeding in the target of getting onto the podium, I need to clear them before I come in for dry tyres. And that's going to be in a few laps. So I have a few laps and it's a short circuit and there's only really a couple of good overtaking places. So this lap is basically catch up onto the back of Stroll. Now if you have a good sector 1 and 2, that does give you the opportunity to try and get him down the back straight into the final chicane. And it's not actually that hard to get onto the back of him. He's not got much pace at this stage. I think Sainz might possibly be holding him up. So even though I'm really desperate to catch up with him, I'm still going to have my ERS on low. I've still got my fuel on standard because that's going to come in handy later in the race. And also I really don't want to be lighting the rear tyres up in these intermediate conditions. I want my acceleration out of corners to be nice and smooth. I want to try and make sure I've got as much traction as possible in these slippery intermediate conditions. So we've put it up to rich fuel. We're going to use a bit more ERS as we're going to try and get a run on Stroll down the back straight. Now this, in my experience, can be a bit variable. Sometimes, as I do a bit of a wobble there and ruin it for myself, sometimes he gets a bit of a run on Sainz. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he gets a good slipstream. Sometimes he doesn't. And as a result, it can be a kind of tricky sort of almost, well, not pot luck, but you do have some lucky scenarios and some less lucky scenarios. I mean, I had one in one of my practice races where Sainz and Stroll pretty much collided and just let me go through. I mean, that's one way of doing it, but you have to be quite lucky for that to happen. And ideally, you want to, actually be doing the overtakes yourself. Now, as you've noticed, I didn't manage to get the overtake done there. My traction out of the hairpin was rubbish. I got a wobble on and didn't get very well out of a corner. So unfortunately we have to then sit behind them for another lap. And you saw a little wobble there. I'm starting to get a bit impatient. A couple of these corners, if you really floor it out of them, you can get a really good run. If you can beat them on traction, then you can do quite well, but it's tricky. So we put the fuel back up onto Rich. We're going to use our ERS. We're going to try and get past Stroll down this straight. We're a little bit closer to him. He looks a little less closer to Sainz though, so he may not get the slipstream to save him. And you can see that we're closing, so we're going to go left. He looks like he's going to make a little bit of a defensive move, but not enough. We're going to get past him way before the braking zone, and that's just job done, no problem. Thank you very much, Lance. So, the target now is Sainz in 6th place. We want to basically do the same thing that we did to Stroll at the end of this lap. And of course this should be slightly easier because Sainz isn't going to get a slipstream. There are a couple of cars ahead of him. There's Leclerc and Gasly, I believe, but they're, 5-6 seconds down the road, he ain't getting a toe off of them. So it's all about sort of just making sure we get a nice smooth run through the rest of this lap. Try not to run too wide. Try not to run into the back of Sainz in some of these chicanes. Sometimes they can break a little bit earlier than you think, and obviously in the wet conditions it is quite easy to lock up. So we want to make sure we don't drive into the back of him, so that's why we're sort of pulling over to the side, making sure that if we were to lock up we're not just going to plough straight into the back of him. And that fuel has gone on to Rich. We're ready to put that ERS up and we're going to try and get through. Now we're going to use his brakes as well. Cheers for that, Carlos. Nice for you to share your stopping power. And no idea how we didn't get any damage there. No idea how we didn't get a warning either. But we're going to do exactly the same thing we did to Stroll. He had a Racing Point and a Mercedes engine. Sainz has only got a Renault engine, so that was even easier than before. And we breezed past, and we are now up into 6th place. We have a very big gap ahead of us, and it's going to be tricky for us to catch the cars ahead. But the reason that we're going to be able to is because we have some insider knowledge. Because of course I've done this a few times already in my sort of practice or failures, if you will, at actually trying to do the whole scenario. And I know that lap 65 is the best lap to pit on. You can already tell that it is starting to get quite dry. I mean, I'm setting purple sectors. I'm not having too much trouble, as we kind of do have a bit of trouble there, but I'm not doing too badly, and at this point it's perfect time to come in for slicks. Now weirdly, even though I know that it's time to come in for slicks, you still got spray coming off the front wheels. You can see it visually, so it doesn't feel like it should be the right time. And if I didn't already know, I probably wouldn't be coming in. I'd probably be giving it another lap. But trust me on this one, I know what I'm doing. So we're going to go down here. We're going to go down the straight. One thing I have to make sure is that I don't mess up the pit entrance. Obviously there's no Stroll in front of me to absolutely destroy, but we don't want to pick up anything stupid like a 5-second penalty. So it's around the 50-metre mark you brake there. I've probably gone in a bit too carefully, but I'd rather go in carefully, lose a second, than lose 5 seconds in terms of time penalties. So we're the only car that has actually pitted for the slick tyres. We've pitted for the softs. I mean, we've only got 5 laps left. It's not going to be a problem in terms of tyre wear. So we're going to go to the end, obviously, and we're going to hopefully put in some good laps. Now we've dropped down to 11th, actually 13th at this point. We're going to make up one of those places again, or 2 of them I think, because the other cars have got to go the longer way round. And you can see there that as I exit and get an absolutely almighty wobble, which I just about managed to hold, that DRS was enabled. Now on this game, DRS being enabled is basically a blatantly clear sign that you should be on slicks. If it gets disabled, that means it's time for inters, and at this point it's definitely slicks. So we're going to cruise up behind Albon here. We don't actually have DRS even though it is enabled, and we're going to squeeze around the outside. That was actually a very bold move. I think I probably shouldn't have been going for that, but I really wanted to get a good out lap. So we've already made up a little bit of time. All the other cars are now going to be trundling into the pits. We're going to get a notification up there that Gasly's gone in. And from what I remember, Gasly is actually going to be one of the cars you're going to be battling for third. So definitely one to keep an eye on there, as my recording skips for no obvious reason. So going through the final chicane then, we're going to floor it up here. We've got our tyres nicely up to temperature. You can see all sorts of people in the pits. You can see Gasly and Leclerc are just exiting the pits ahead of us. They are two of the cars we need to beat to get the podium place that we need to succeed in this scenario. So we need to catch up with them post haste. The other thing that's worth noting is, and I've no idea why this is the case, but all of the AI cars all came out on medium tyres. So basically they're just giving you a tyre advantage, and I don't know if it's trying to be really clever to say, oh well, they'd have qualified on soft tyres and they wouldn't have any fresh soft tyres left, so they would have had to go on mediums. But then there's 3 laps left of the race. It's not like tyre wear is really going to be an issue, so I don't see why you wouldn't go onto softs. I mean, the game defaults you to going on soft. I didn't change anything to say, I want to go onto softs, please. Don't put me on mediums, I want softs. It puts you onto softs and everyone else onto mediums. I mean, I'm not complaining, it just kind of makes it a bit easier for you. So there's a couple more cars ahead who have had to pit. So Hamilton has pitted, and that's going to get me up into 5th place. And we've set a fastest lap about a second or so faster than the cars in front. So we've got Leclerc, who is just over 2 seconds ahead of us. You've got Gasly ahead of him, and he's in 3rd place. So those 2 cars that you can see ahead of me are the cars that we need to overtake in order to succeed in this scenario. Now the thing that's also going to help us out, as well as having faster tyres, is that they're quite close to each other on the track, and they are going to start battling each other. So what we basically want to do is get onto the back of them, and if and when they start fighting each other, we start to try and look to pick up the pieces. And if we can't, we'll just overtake them. No biggie. So coming through the hairpin now, we're 1.8 seconds behind. We've kind of nailed that braking point, that's really good. And we're 1.1 seconds up on our previous best. So you can see over ahead, Leclerc is getting a slipstream off of Gasly. He's going to have DRS as well. So DRS is going to make passes down this straight even easier. So we've got the overtake going on up ahead. Leclerc has not been successful, and we've gained absolutely bucket loads of times because they're just fighting. So we're less than a second behind now, and Leclerc's trying to go around the outside of turn 1, trying to get the inside line into turn 2. Not really going to be a good place to do that, and they're going to go side by side through this chicane as well. So great racing for them to not crash into each other, but it's just helping us out. So we're right behind Leclerc now. So we're going to go around the outside here, lunge up the inside, get it stopped, a little bit of a lock up, but we've managed to do it. No contact or anything, so a good move. Probably the first time I've ever made a move into that corner in my life. So good timing. We had DRS there, but we were far too far back from Gasly. So we need to, well, I was going to say pull a team order on Gasly, but I don't think Verstappen needs any team orders to get past Gasly, does he now? So we're going to go round the hairpin, and we all know what's going to happen here. We've got the fuel on rich, we've got EOS on to overtake, and even though we're not massively close, that DRS is going to help us out. We're going to get a really good run on Gasly. He is going to try and defend it. We're going to go up the inside though. We're going to outbrake him, take the inside, don't let him turn in, accelerate on the outside, got DRS again. He's miles behind, late as Pierre, and we start our final lap in 3rd position. And yeah, okay, so we're 6 odd seconds behind Bottas, but that doesn't matter. We just need to be in the top 3. So at this point, it's, well, kind of cruise home because we don't want to crash and we've got the position we want. But of course, if we want to get a high score, we want to go as fast as possible. So at this point, I was trying to do a fastest lap to try and, I can't remember if there is any points. Well, I couldn't remember at this point anyway, if there are points for the fastest lap. And also, obviously, the faster I do this lap, the quicker my overall race time is going to be. And the quicker my overall race time is, the more points I get. And then all the multipliers get multiplied up even more. So every tenth or so that I can gain on this final lap, the better. So we're going to floor it down here, overtake, even though we're not going to overtake anyone. We've got a teensy bit of fuel left and we're going to pop it up into rich just to make it ever so slightly quicker down that straight. Through the final chicane, don't do anything silly like crashing the wall on the outside, and we're going to cross the line. We're a little bit down on Vettel, who's won the race. No need for him to be swapping the position markers around this time, I guess. And we finished third, so that's perfect. Mission accomplished. Job well done. And there you can see that we ended up finishing 7.3 seconds down on Vettel's winning time, who only just won it from Bottas, and we get a total of 252,534 points. Not amazing, but I think the thing that's really helped us out there is the clean lap bonus. Didn't get a single warning in that race, despite a little bit of a bump on Sainz. And in terms of the overall leaderboard, that puts me 341st on the leaderboard in the top 4%. Now, normally I'd aim for slightly higher than that, but given that this is on one of my weaker tracks and it's in the wet, I was never going to be doing amazing times. And those people who are doing it on 110% difficulty, no assists and massively fast times, absolute kudos to you. Well played. I mean, compared to everyone else around me on the leaderboard, I'm actually quite slow, but I think again it's the no assists and it's the clean lap bonus that really helps me out and gets me a nice good score. But I really liked that scenario. I thought the changing from wet to dry conditions meant it was quite challenging. It was always evolving, so it wasn't just do 6 laps really fast and overtake one person. Again, it was asking you to overtake multiple people, both on track and using the tyres, the inters to softs strategy. So yeah, well played Codemasters. I like your thinking on this one, although I would quite like to see some classic cars again. They're ace. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching and I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, then don't forget to like the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, then why don't you go and click on that button right now? You know it makes sense. And thanks to everyone who has been doing that recently. It's massively appreciated. And let me know what you think of these featured events and this one in particular. Have you had a go at it? Have you got a good score? Let me know in the comments below how you've got on and what you've made of the whole event itself. But until next time and the next video, goodbye.